All right, it's Thursday. Tomers, Fargo, Ben, all here talking college football, a bit more here. A little Golden Gopher football. We're going to get some predictions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Golden Gopher football, here's your quarterback, Mr. Brosmer, on the Nevada Wolfpack.
I think it'll be a really good challenge for us offensively, to be able to battle, throughout the whole game, but also just to figure out, how can we put our guys in the best spot possible with schematic-wise, but also to feel out the rest of the game of, all right, how can we see, does the defense change throughout the game? Will it change after halftime? Because it's still pretty early for us in the season. They're in their fourth game right now, I think, and they're going to have new stuff in for us, and it's an every week thing where you have to see what you see on film and prepare for that, and then react to what they give you kind of towards halftime and through the rest of the game.
What do you think there, Fargo Flash?
Well, what I liked last week is what they did on first down. So this is so unlike Gopher football, but on first down in the first quarter, they threw 3 times. So again, we're a run-first team going into this game. In the second quarter on first downs, we threw 8 times.
God, it's great.
And then in the third quarter, when we put the game away, we threw the ball 7 times on first down. So that's I've never seen in the
that might be a record.
8 years of PJ Fleck, I've never seen a throw first offense.
I love it.
And again, part of that's because of the run struggle. The running backs average just 3.2 yards a carry. But but I also like the idea that if you're going to develop a passing game, let's do it against some crappy team, right? Because we got to get this thing.
1,000%.
This thing has to go. It's got to go this week, but you're going to really need the passing game to go against Iowa, Michigan, and USC, because I don't see us running the football
much
at will against those teams. A little bit. We'll break it in a little bit, right?
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, Max is going to have to be a dude. And week 2, we saw it. We need to see it again in week 3, and then we jump into that brutal run that we have coming up. So I liked it.
That had to have been a record, though, for us to do that. Throwing the ball
for
in the first
PJ,
down.
for sure. I actually believe the 27 of 30, or 24 out of 30, I believe that's the most completions since your guy Mitch Leidner in 2015.
Wow.
Great guy.
So of all the runs, of all the great games that Tanner Morgan had, I don't think he had a game that actually had over 24 completions.
Should have been 27.
Should have been 27. There's a drop, huge ball across the middle to Lemeke Brockington in, I believe, the first quarter drop, and then a couple other ones. So they'll get that stuff short up.
Yeah, let's hear it, man. Prediction time.
So
Let's go.
I think this game again, it scares me because it's a little bit of a trap game. That being said, one of the things I also do like that happened in college football last week is you had a Purdue go into Notre Dame and pull off a huge upset. You had an Iowa State team that was on the road in a hostile environment, down big at half. They come back, and I think what that does, Hawk, it just wakes up college football. If you're PJ Fleck, you get to walk in on Sunday and you have this huge victory, 48-0. And what PJ does is he says, "Cool, let's see what happened in college football to kind of re-ground all of my players of what can happen when teams like Nevada walked in." Mm-hmm. And now there's a bit of a scare factor. So it's like, you guys can go ahead and take this team lightly. If you do, this is what can happen. So I think Nevada's probably a little bit better than we think, though. So I like Minnesota to win this game, but I think it's probably closer than people expect. I like Minnesota 34, Nevada 17.
My heavens. I was going to say 35-17.
You complete me.
If anybody's over there, I don't know.
My
I
heavens.
remember. My heavens.
My heavens. So just to clarify,
Clutch your pearls.
just to clarify here, the spread is 17.5. One of you's a half under and a half over.
I never gamble. I've never gambled on Gopher football.
Since you were a
Why
player.
start now?
You guys just watch. We're going to have like 3 receivers, spread them out a little bit, and we're going to try to gash them. When Darius was on a little bit of a pitch count, it felt like he didn't play as much. But when he touched it,
he was good.
He's different.
He's different.
He is going to be, he's playing on Sundays. He's that good. He just stands out. He's the best player on our team, not even close. I think.
So you have 35-17?
Yeah.
Wow. There you go.
That's literally what I was going to say.
Well, let's make it happen, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at you guys.
Great.
Look at you guys.
And then the big game that we have is tonight, right? It's not the NFL game that we previewed. It's not Miami Buffalo. We have the number 1 rated team in 6A football, the number 1 ranked team in the state that just blew out Eden Prairie. Oof. We have a Dinah, Leber squad, and Meat Sauce squad.
Yeah, my squad.
Traveling to Minnetonka, the number 5 team in the country.
Wow.
In the posted spread on this game as of this morning is Edina minus 6.5.
Wow.
Don't forget, Edina goes to the state championship game a year ago. They lost. Think of
my old teammate's a coach there.
The Mason West, the great junior quarterback. Meyer Swinney, the great wide receiver, 4 touchdowns a week ago, the player of the week last week across the state. And for Minnetonka, Caleb Francois is the running quarterback. So last week he took it to Wyzetta, as Corey found out, and losing $20 to me. And then,
what a scam.
And then we talked about this, Hawk, but your guy, Matt Lombardi, again in the offseason, the head coach of Maple Grove, decides to leave that head coaching position. He's at Minnetonka. His task this week as the defensive coordinator is trying to find a way to stop Edina. So, of course, I'm taking Minnetonka plus 6.5. And I got meat sauce and Leber that are all over that as well from the Edina side.
I'm not betting that.
Where's the game? At Tonka?
At Tonka.
Man, how much fun.
And it's actually on you. It's on KARE 11. KARE 11 will be carrying the game on their. Is
that right?
It's streaming it online.
No kidding.
Yep.
Man. All right, I will.
On KARE 11's YouTube page.
I will fall for your phony lines.
Yeah, I will too. Fine,
your phony betting lines on high school football. And I absolutely will take you on that 6.5.
Yeah.
Same.
And you guys going to it or no?
I'll be there.
So
You'll be there?
Yeah.
So here's the thing about Edina. You just named two big players, but there's one other player that has like a little bit of a fan connection or
yeah.
So Eric Bjorgard, who you've heard talk about with Metropolitan Ford and PA, his son Chase is the running back.
Oh, really?
He's a stud too.
Dog.
So here's the deal with Edina. So Edina, from the way I understand, because I haven't been to a game yet, is that they can hand it off to Bjorgard, and game one he goes for 184. So it's like they can hand it off and they can ground and pound you if they want, or there's not probably a corner in the state that can keep up with Meyer Swinney on the outside.
6'4", 215.
I mean, he's going to Cal as a receiver.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And
he had offers from a lot of places, but he just had to go to Cal because his brother's there.
Yeah. So it's like, pick your poison, dude. Like if Tonka shuts down the run game, fine. Then they'll just throw it over the top.
Who's the quarterback? Isn't he a good hockey player?
Yeah, Mason West.
Mason West. He's like.
It's like Anders Lee back in the day.
Yes,
everybody's saying like he will eventually be like a first-round NHL draft pick.
So they're winning.
Man, my squad's so stacked.
I know.
That's why it's 6.5.
What a couple of dogs.
All right, so 25 on that game.
$25.
Wow, you guys.
Yeah.
I love this.
Fake lines.
Matt Lombardi's biggest challenge. Make it happen, Matt.
Man, big game.
Big games. I love it, man.
In my last nugget that I wrote down here, I had a couple other things here. So when you watch the game at 11 o'clock, when you watch Bama, Wisconsin this week, the thing that I think is crazy in watching Bama this year, there's 2 storylines here. You have a 17-year-old wide receiver in Ryan Williams, who I believe reclassified to graduate early, Hawk. Wow. So he's supposed to be a high school senior.
Holy moly.
And when the coaching change happened, he decided to stay in high school. And then DeBoer talks him into actually sticking to his commitment, reclassifying so you actually can finish high school and join Alabama. And he is the next dude.
First 2
Alabama.
touches, 2 touchdowns.
Are you kidding me?
It's
Alabama.
crazy.
Sophomore year, Gatorade Player of the Year. Junior year, Gatorade Player of the Year in Alabama. Like biggest freak of all time.
Wow, is that right?
And my last nugget in watching the game this week is there's a lineman from Iowa who committed a 5-star, I believe, offensive tackle 2 years ago.
Oh, Proctor. Yeah.
So he's an Iowa product. He commits.
Is he a beast?
He commits.
Monster.
Yeah, he's a
Ballpark it.
6'5", 325.
That's a huge bitch.
He ends up committing to Alabama, and he goes down and he starts all the games last year, I believe, as a true freshman. And in the offseason, he decides to enter the transfer portal. So on January 17th, he goes into the transfer portal, and the Iowa fan base raises $100,000 to have Proctor commit and go to Iowa, to come back to his home state. So he does. Until he goes on spring break in March.
What?
And he goes on spring break with all of his Alabama friends. And what does he do? Within 2 months, he leaves his commitment from Iowa, goes back to Alabama with $100,000 of NIL money funded by Iowa. And now he's getting back into the Midwest. He's got all of his buddies come over to Camp Randall to watch him take on the Badgers. I mean, it just shows you how goofy the NIL is.
Yeah, it stinks.
Wow, that's...
8 weeks, $100,000, not going to spend a single down playing football for Iowa.
That's tough, man.
Thanks, Flash. Appreciate it,
See
man.
you guys.
That's my man. Enjoy the game
Bye,
tonight.
Steve. T.O., you got to go too, or what?
I can stay for one more.
Okay, one more out of T.O. Sauce will do sports in a second. Ben Leber is here. Tom Pelissero in like 20 minutes. Parker Fox later. About an hour from now, we'll do our KOC press conference. We had a chance to talk to him yesterday. We'll play that back. This is the Power Trip Morning Show on the Fan.
All right, welcome back. One segment away from .com, Tom Pelissero. Thanks to our friends at Bell Bank. And by the way, speaking of our friends, I should say, don't forget, till tonight at midnight, you can get 30% off your order at cultivatedcbd.com using the code KFAN Ghost, because I'm so darn good at fantasy football. Through tonight at midnight, 30% off your order at cultivatedcbd.com. Use the code KFAN Ghost through tonight at midnight. There you go. Big deal.
No bigger kiss of death right now than Zach Halverson.
It's unbelievable. 4
It
points.
has officially been converted from Chris to Zach. Zach is the kiss of death. He picked Caleb Williams last week.
First pick.
Yeah.
And is already something like 22 points behind the Ghost, and we're 1 week in.
Yeah.
Have you guys announced
come on.
yet? Or not yet?
No, we're waiting on a couple of people.
Still moving parts?
Yep.
Okay.
It'll be great.
We
though.
need two different
yeah.
entities to give us the green light. But
Pretty fun.
okay.
I think it's
Yeah.
but
pretty
again,
fun.
everybody that is in the bet knows what the plan is, so it's not like one of us is going to get blindsided by something we didn't agree to.
Is it on the list of all your guys' charge challenges? The hardest?
Oh, no.
No, it's
Easiest
somewhere in the
somewhere in the
middle.
middle.
It's somewhere in
It's
the middle.
maybe the funniest.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
potentially could be the funniest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll
Yep.
be, I think it could be funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested.
There are definitely more torturous ones than this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to lean into this one could be fun,
Yeah.
depending on how the person handles it.
What year was it when Charchie completely ruined one of you guys and they did like a tight end and a quarterback or
I think
something?
he did 3 players.
I don't
Tight end, quarterback, and running back.
Yeah, something like that.
Just sewered one of you guys. I forget what it was.
But as Corey and I have always said, whether we're losing or winning, you can't have double points.
I hate the double
you can't.
points.
That's not fair to
Yep.
if Hawk has gained a big lead or
Sure.
it's just yeah.
Yep.
We didn't do the news, but thanks to the St. Paul Saints, who they lost 7-6 to Columbus, and they're against the Clippers again tonight with Andrew Morris starting. But they'll be back at CHS Field soon. The St. Paul Saints, we love you. Thank you for your sponsorship. Check out saintsbaseball.com. But it's time for sports.
By the way, Zach got 6 points last week. He trails hockey by 20 already.
It's time for Fan 5 on the Power Trip, presented by All Around Property Preservation.
Thank you all around.
The Minnesota Twins have won 2 straight after they beat the Angels 6-4. They had 11 hits. The Twins are now 78-68. They need 9 more wins to hit the over for Ben Leber, but they still trail the Guardians by 6 and the Royals by 1.5. But they have a 3-game lead over the final wild card spot over Detroit, and then a 4-game lead over the Red Sox.
We have to win.
They host the
And
Reds
Mariners.
tomorrow
We
at
have to
Target
win.
Field at
We have to win.
7:10.
We have to win.
You're right, Rocco. You have to win.
Gotta win.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
So the over-under bet between the two of you?
Is 70 or is 87?
Yeah.
87.
Yeah.
So he needs 9 more wins, you
Yeah,
said? How many
yeah.
games left?
Well, they're
I don't know. You want to do the quick math?
they're 78 and 68. So
boy.
Let's have you do this.
So they have. They have. Hold on, I can do this. They have 16 games left.
Boom.
Let's go.
So 9 and?
7.
Yes.
Yeah. So good luck to you, Ben.
Come on, Bucks.
Thank you. Good luck
they're
to
not
you.
playing very well. It's going to be very close.
A month ago, it was over for you that you were going to win.
Yep.
They were 17 games above 500. I'm going, man,
Then
I'm
they,
going to have to.
then they had a what? They were like something like 6-15 in a
Yeah.
21-game stretch.
Yep,
That
correct.
pretty much doomed you. Now it's going to be razor thin again.
It is. Come on, Buxton.
Doomed him. He is the over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's going to be very, very
you were
close.
looking at me. I thought, well, I know you can't.
Well,
keep your
no,
eyes
yeah,
off
I mean,
me, but
yes. Either way, I mean, it's going to be very close. I mean, that's the fun thing about this bet.
Yeah.
This long term bet is like, it really is coming down the wire. It's like these Vegas guys know what they're doing.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Vikings battle the Niners this Sunday at noon. Pregame at 10. Hogs Daddy right here on this station.
That's right.
Both teams are 1-0. The Niners are 6-point favorites. The over-under is 45.5. We got our first injury report yesterday for both teams. Addison and Van Ginkel did not practice.
Where did that injury come from, Ben? Andrew Van Ginkel with a foot injury. Didn't hear about that at all? Anybody have an idea where that came from?
No,
We saw it, though, Ben. Remember, he didn't go back in like the last 2 defensive series.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So basically, he had that big play at that big pick 6, and then he was in
third. Yeah.
He was in there for maybe one other series, and then it was like he's just not in there. You know. So
all right, that's not good.
At some point in time, he must have hurt his foot, but I didn't see an actual play, and there wasn't an actual designation of the game. So
they never took his helmet or anything like that.
Yeah, he was always just kind of standing there on the sideline, looking like he was ready to go in.
Yep.
Bradbury limited in practice, but Jalen Naylor a full participant.
Let's go.
Well, that's great news with the Addison situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then the only 49er on the injury report that we are monitoring is Christian McCaffrey. He was limited with a calf and Achilles injury.
Yeah, apparently he's been battling this Achilles tendonitis, which is scary. I mean, depending on the severity, we all know that it seems like the killer for athletes of all ages, but especially NFL players, is the Achilles injury. So it's no longer like the ACL. It's like, suffered the Achilles rupture, depending on how it was ruptured. And all that stuff. That's the one that could take down a player in their career. So,
and just never forget the one guy in Wheel of Fortune that pronounced it Achilles.
Oh yeah,
I loved it.
That was
Achilles.
an all-time bit. We
I still
played the
think he's
hell
right.
out of that.
Man, that was good.
We can't be sure he wasn't right.
And Pat did his no. Yeah.
So far through a couple of days here, Seacrest infinitely more positive than Pat Sajak, right? Sajak kind of had a smirk when they would get puzzles correct and be like, well done. Ryan's like, good for you, Tommy. You did it. Lot of positivity coming out of Seacrest. I like my Wheel of Fortune a little snarky. Shocking.
Also, thank you for supporting Ryan Seacrest.
You're very welcome. And then again, this is nitpicking.
We can complain about that.
This is nitpicking, but that's what I do. It's just in my DNA. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but I already hate it. For the debut week, LG, the company LG, is helping sponsor Wheel of Fortune. Well, for the last handful of years, right, it's RSTLNE, and then you get 3 extra consonants, 1 extra vowel. We're getting close to goddamn near half the alphabet.
Yeah.
Well, now, because it's sponsored by LG, they give you RSTLGNE. Last night, the puzzle, the answer was low-fat yogurt. I'm not saying I'm a genius. Everyone in the world, before she even picked other letters, I'm like, I would have just said QXZ because it was so obvious it was low-fat yogurt. There was too many letters. You're giving them too many letters. She won $50K. $50,000.
This is one of the biggest problems in America.
100%. They should have talked about this on Tuesday night. It's about eating cats in Springfield. What about too many letters in the final puzzle?
You're obsessed with this show.
I love game shows.
Oh, he's a game show.
It's unbelievable.
Love game shows.
Yeah,
It's worked out.
He is issues. Yeah.
We don't need LG to sponsor.
No.
Unless
the
they want
final
to sponsor
puzzle.
the initials, then guess what?
Then every week the initials are LG.
Well, in this situation, just take out a consonant. If you're going to add the G, just take out
that's a
something
good
else.
point.
Like, why do they need to add the G and keep everything else the same?
Yeah, and most of the time the G is going to pop up at the end of the word after an N anyway.
Yeah,
we
did
don't
you
need the
see-
G.
Ice Cube is sponsoring Wheel of Fortune next month. They're giving him OG.
Sauce, you do one.
Me? Who, me?
Yeah.
Come on, Pete.
Next week,
Yep.
you will be shocked. But TCBY Yogurt is sponsoring Wheel of Fortune. So you're going to get TCNBY.
The only reason that's in your head is because I just said low-fat yogurt 45 seconds ago. You've been daydreaming about TCBY.
You are correct.
And as Michael Scott once brilliantly said, Ben won't get this reference. I can't believe it's not yogurt.
The fruit?
Ben, I was so happy that the Twin Cities Live crew and Elizabeth crapped on you so hard the other day.
Whoa. And we filmed it too.
And Elizabeth had the line of the day. She just flat out said, that's the thing now that I hate about you the most is that you haven't watched The Office.
Yeah.
That's why she's the best.
Yeah.
So if we can't guilt you into it, you were getting boos from your Twin Cities Live crew.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you not watch The Office?
The staff and everybody behind the cameras and behind the scenes, we're all just
gasping,
disgusted with me.
So look, I'm one of these guys too. Does everyone shaming you into it make you want to do it more, or fight the urge to even do it less?
No, it makes me want to do it more.
Okay,
because it has been a motivation of mine to watch the show. Because it's not like I don't watch the show. I had nothing against the show. Even it wasn't like one of those things like, oh, everybody loves this show and I just hate it. You know. I've always liked the show. I just never got into the show.
Got it.
And now it's like one of those things where we're so many years past that it just seems like it's so overwhelming to go back and start from square one, which it sounds like a lot of people love to do anyway, even though you've already watched the whole thing. You just turn it on and just watch it from wherever it's at.
It's the best background show of all time.
Yeah. So I do. It's motivating me more to
with all
go
your
out.
traveling and everything. You'd love it.
Well, that's the thing.
Easy
Now
watch.
that I'm in like sort of a season routine, it would be something I could watch on the plane.
Tommy, is that also the thing that you like about Leber the least? That he has not seen Office at all, essentially at all? Because it sounds like Elizabeth hates it the most.
Yeah, no, it's when I go on a rant about Gopher football and the look he gives me. That's what I hate.
That's the best. I like it. Yeah.
That's
But I
pretty
do
good,
like
too.
your shirt. Where's that from?
Oh, thanks. This is actually from our guys at Branded Bills.
Oh, right on.
They have T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have T-shirts.
What?
They got merch out the
Yeah,
ass,
they got
man.
merch
I
everywhere.
thought they were just hats.
No, they do hats, but they
What?
do a bunch of merch. All that stuff that I posted
Actually,
on
I'm
initiative.
not just
today.
saying it. I
very
really
cozy
like
t-shirt.
it.
Yeah.
It looks. I like the fabric.
These guys are
Good
awesome.
to know.
You don't have to touch him.
Good to
No,
know.
please do.
Well, you won the lottery.
We have .com Tom coming up next, and Tommy.
Yeah.
Love you.
Oh, am I out of here?
Okay, I was going to say, I'm sorry. Is it Lot 37 again this weekend?
No, it's actually funny you bring that up. Mary Wilson, my cousin, she's getting married, so I'm going to be at
Good to know.
Grand Casino Hinckley. If anyone
Oh,
wants to come
Lord.
gamble.
Missing the Gopher game, huh?
Missing the Gopher. This is the one of the year.
How dare she schedule it on a Gopher
That's what I'm
Saturday?
saying. That is what I'm saying. But I'm back for Iowa. I'll be back next week, and yeah, it should be a good weekend. Can you dig it? I love you guys. Thanks
the
for
best,
having me.
Love you, brother.
Love you,
See you later.
Tom.
There he goes.
All right.
Tomers, everybody.
One Tommy out, one Tommy in. Tom Pelissero after this Power Trip Morning Show on the Fan.
Archer Morning Show. About to call old .com Tom. Thanks to our friends at Radco. We're going to do some Vikings news, but some football news. Thanks to our friends at Bell Bank. Now listen to this. The Bell Bank Pay It Forward promo. We have our first winner. Care Clinic Red Wing. That's CARE. Care Clinic's mission is to contribute to the community by improving healthcare access, connecting people to resources. I can't talk. Resources. And promoting health education. She nominated them because they provide a free medical clinic along with affordable mental health and dental services. Well done, Megan Goodwin. Congratulations to Care Clinic Red Wing. You are our first Bell Bank Pay It Forward recipient. Thank you, Bell Bank. Well done. Love those people, right, Ben?
Love them. They're
Love
the best.
them. Always doing the right thing. Gotta love that. I hear Max talking to old .com Tom back there. Did you guys see the ratings? The ratings for NFL Week 1?
Yeah. Oh, I did not see that.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
It just continues to set records.
21 million viewers on average per game. That is an all-time record for Week 1 of the NFL season. That's up 12% from last season. And which is really the number that matters, I think, the most, if you think about it. And 123 million people saw at least a part of one game. That's the highest total for an opening week since 2019. Now, giant numbers, though, don't necessarily translate to revenue.
Stop it.
Or
Come on.
Billboards.
Come on now. Let's talk to .com Tom.
.com Tom Pelissero, Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. Hi, Tom.
How we doing?
How are you, man?
Better than most. We shouldn't complain.
Yeah, right.
We're going to have you on now, thanks to Bell Bank. Then we're going to see you tomorrow morning anyway to talk more football, and you're going to be in initial semifinal number 3.
Yep, just remembered that again. Set up a few more alerts on my phone so I don't forget this entirely. I'm ready. I will be ready. Don't worry. Tomorrow morning I'll be ready to go.
Oh, man. Where do you guys want to start? You guys want to start Vikings-Niners, since that's the big game here? The Niners obviously looked pretty good on Monday night, right? They could have obviously ended a couple more drives with touchdowns, but they looked pretty efficient. Defense is crazy. Rodgers looked pretty terrible. But no Christian McCaffrey on Monday night, and it's looking like he might be a long shot to play on Sunday.
He's saying, that he's preparing to play. It's a long season. He's dealing with, as Rappaport reported yesterday, like Achilles tendonitis. And so that's one of those things that's kind of there, and you're going to have to deal with it. And so the calculus is going to be, do they put him out there as a partial participant Sunday on turf? The next two games are on turf. So then week 3, they're at SoFi against the Rams. At some point they're going to have to, make decisions about when the right time is to roll the guy out. But when you got Jordan Mason just truck sticking guys like he was the other night, and you kind of look at it and go, we maybe could try to get this thing right. But it's not as if, he's magically going to heal. This isn't an MCL or a high ankle or something else. Like he's dealing with something that might be an irritant to him, throughout the entire season here. And so it's going to be a matter of how he feels and when they feel like it's the right time to cut him loose.
Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best offensive players to maybe ever play football. How long, in your opinion, do you think it could last if they did let him sit for 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, again, because this isn't like an injury that's just going to disappear. It's kind of like a plantar fascia situation or something else where there's not a whole lot you can do with it. You obviously can rest and rehab and things. It's a good question. I mean, I know a lot of people took Christian McCaffrey round 1, pick 1 in their fantasy drafts and have a lot of questions. Am I one of those people who had to quickly pick up Jordan Mason on Monday night and sub him in? Maybe. But it's just, that's going to be one of the question marks I think rolling forward here is maybe Christian McCaffrey's not a 20-plus touch guy in the near term here. They can divide it between multiple backs. I wouldn't anticipate, whenever McCaffrey gets out there, I would just say this. I don't think you're going to see him with, 20, 25 carries in the first game. I think it's very much going to be ease him into action, see how the body responds. Knowing him, he might decide he's totally fine in a few weeks here, but they're going to proceed cautiously here because for, when you're a team like the 49ers coming off a Super Bowl appearance, you're not playing for, you're trying to win the games, but you're not playing for September. You're playing for January and February.
Tom Pelissero, so I want to get your thoughts. We'll shift over to the Vikings real quick. So we saw the 49ers play against the Jets. Now, say what you want about the Jets. I think they're actually going to be a pretty decent team. Maybe they didn't show it in week 1. Vikings come off a pretty easy win against the Giants. Now, that's a team now after we've seen all 4 quarters, maybe not as good offensively as we thought it was going to be. So what do you make of the Vikings victory against the Giants last Sunday?
Well, I think that anytime, and this, like going on the road and, playing a week 1 game, the crowd's hyped, they're wearing the khaki pants, like there's all sorts of reasons for optimism and have some juice, and the Vikings just stole it right out of the gate. That's not an untalented Giants team. You do have, players you can make plays in the passing game. You got Malik Neighbors out there. Daniel Jones first game off the ACL. I think that's always tricky, just like, Kirk first game off the Achilles, like Rodgers first game off the Achilles. It might be a little bit bumpy. You've missed a lot of reps and you're trying to get, full confidence and get back to game speed. I still think it's a good win for the Vikings, in part because, nobody could know what to expect from that defense coming into the game. You signed Stephon Gilmore midway through camp and you're kind of, slapping it together at some other positions. There's a lot of new faces and they played, start to finish, they played really well. Offensively, the difference maker, I know we talked about this in the recent weeks here. To me, the reason to believe in the Vikings, the biggest reason is Justin Jefferson, because a couple times a game, he's going to have that catch. And it was a beautiful throw by Sam Darnold down the left sideline, but he's going to, you get right down to it and it's a goal line situation and you can jam that ball into Jefferson and he's going to take it away from the defender. That guy is such a difference maker here. Different challenge this week. The guys that he's going to be facing, 49ers have some really good corners. It's going to be more of a challenge. They know Sam Darnold well. They know his strengths and his weaknesses. I'm sure that they're going to have an attack plan for him. But I wouldn't discount what we saw in week 1. We could easily be sitting here on the other side of it, and the Giants, just again, by virtue of being at home and week one and some, positive vibes, they could have come out and the score could have been flipped. And then what would we be saying about the Vikings? It would be like, they're buried. They got this difficult stretch over the next 6 weeks here. This is one you had to have in week one. Now let's see coming home for a couple against really good teams. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, a lot of people crapping on Daniel Jones, justifiably so. Same thing with Brian Daboll. I assume he's on the list of the coaches on the hot seat in 2024. Give me your sense of which coaches really need to get something going pretty quickly here.
Well, I think that there's always, Corey, an overreaction to week one, and certainly just based on where we were at last year with the Giants, the number of changes that they made. Daboll took over the play calling, and he's in year three. Year three is always the big year because at that point after that season, history would show you're either going to sign that guy to a contract extension or you're going to fire him. That's just kind of how the league goes. It's all a lot of it tilts on year three. And so, Daboll was had a really good season in year one. Year two was bad for a variety of reasons, including all the injuries that they have. I wouldn't write him off at this point, but certainly, there's going to be pressure there. Same thing with Doug Peterson in Jacksonville, similar type of thing where I believe they were 9-8 each of the last two seasons, but they had the playoff appearance and they won a game in that crazy fashion against the Chargers. And then last year, 9-8 again, but they struggled down the stretch and Trevor Lawrence didn't play as well. So, inevitably there's going to be pressure there. The Jets obviously have a lot of pressure. Aaron Rodgers has flat out said, hey, we better win or a lot of us are going to be out of here. I think that's a fair assessment just based upon, what they've had going here. And then you get some of the new coaches who, everybody's going to bag on the coaches who's, in their first game and the teams don't come out and play well. I mean, Carolina was really rough. I saw enough of it because I got red zone in one ear on Sundays. And the Saints were pretty much in the red zone the entire game. And when it's 30-0 in the first half, you're like, all right, this might be a battle for the Panthers in 2024. That one, though, is about getting Bryce Young, playing better. And week one did not look good. I believe he threw an interception on the very first pass of the game and then another interception on the second pass of the third quarter. That's not the growth that you were hoping to see. They're as undermanned just from a personnel perspective as any defense in the league, and then they just lost Derek Brown, who's their best player on the entire team, to a season-ending knee injury. You can tell, right out of the gate, this is probably going to be a challenging season. But first-year coaches, it's also about, are you seeing the growth in the program? Are you seeing the team get better over the course of the season? I would apply that to the Raiders as well, who didn't play, particularly well out of the gate. There's other situations like Cleveland where, Kevin is a two-time NFL Coach of the Year. There shouldn't be heat on him, but there's heat on that entire program right now because you're into year three of Deshaun Watson, and even setting aside another lawsuit that was filed in Texas this week. You're just hoping that he's going to play better, but realistically, the guy had played 12 games total over a 3-year span. You don't suddenly just come back. You got to hope that you're improving over the course of the season, and now they got this other anvil hanging over their heads that they're going to have to answer questions about on a weekly basis. It's just, since Stefanski got to Cleveland, it's been a nonstop battle of, he made the playoffs in a COVID season in year one, and then they had the dip the following year, and then you make the Watson trade, but he's not available. And then last year, he suffers the season-ending injury. They start 4 or 5 different quarterbacks, still go to the playoffs. I mean, it's been nonstop, having to fight off the demons in Cleveland here, and that's kind of the definition of that program. But they got to get the quarterback playing better, and I think that's one of the themes across the league.
All right, so let's stick with the coaching situation because this became a little bit of national news and definitely Vikings world news when Mike Zimmer had an article come out about him. It really did not, I personally did not paint his personality in a very good light. But the point is, he's back to coaching. He's defensive coordinator in Dallas. Seems to be after week one, you want to overreact. He's got that defense playing at a really, really high level. And let's just say that he continues to stay there. What is the vibe of the NFL right now for guys like him that are a little longer in the tooth when it comes to coaching? You've got Bill Belichick, who's going to sit out a year and do this whole media tour and show everybody he's got a personality and whatever and all this other stuff you heard about me. Maybe I'm not as curmudgeonly as you think. But what is the vibe with those type of guys getting head coaching opportunities next year?
I think it's a great question, and I think that is one of the things to monitor going into this next offseason, because last year it was all positive energy coaches who got head coaching jobs. Jim Harbaugh's his own animal entirely, but he's very much a positivity. He works the crap out of guys, but he's very much you watch the post-game thing and who's got it better than us. Like, it's very much like hey, we're building this positive reinforcement culture. Same thing with, Brian Callahan, who's kind of a, cooler head, but he's certainly, from that school of thought where it's going to be more positive. Dave Canales in Carolina is a positivity all the time guy. Antonio Pierce really galvanized people by going from the Josh McDaniels hard lessons way to, being hey, we're all going to band together and we're going to kick everybody's ass. That was what people were looking for last year. But, there's always this, it's the opposite theory where, whether it's within the organization, you hire the positive guy and then you go to the negative guy. Whether it's league wide, if some of these guys, their teams struggle in year one, maybe you go back to, this generation needs the ones who are going to come down harder on people. And I think that, in Dallas, there was a little bit of that. Dan Quinn is very much another guy who got a head coaching job. He's very much it's the brotherhood, and we're going to band together, and it's all going to be positive, and we're going to get them with that positive energy. To Zim, maybe they needed a little bit of that, and we'll see. When times get tough, how some of that stuff gets over. He had the week one thing, even though there's a ton of tape on Zim's defenses. He had the week one thing working for him, which was the questions of all right, how is he going to use Micah Parsons? The answer was, he's going to use him everywhere, and the Browns are going to have, as Tom Brady put it, no answers for it. And he attacked, and it was fun to watch. They got a really talented defense in Dallas. I'm happy for Zim. I know that he had some, maybe not necessarily the most positive things to say about certain current and former members of the organization in that interview with Mark Craig. But I get it. He's been bottling a lot of that up for a few years here. Is he going to be a head coach again? I mean, he said in that story he doesn't think that he's going to, but, knowing Zim, he believes that he can do it again. He's the third winningest coach in Vikings history. If they win and win big, I do believe he's going to get interviews, and it's probably going to depend on the right fit because every owner, every team's got their own criteria.
Well, last thing for Tom Pelissero. Thanks to our friends at Bell Bank. More information on how to nominate somebody for their Pay It Forward charity or a charity for a Pay It Forward program momentarily. But, Tom, before we let you go, give Vikings fans reason to believe we can beat maybe one of the best teams in the league on Sunday.
I mean, it starts with Justin Jefferson. That's the biggest thing. And the 49ers are going to be cooking up this week. How do we make that guy not the one that beats us? I think that we've seen in Jefferson's career some of the highest profile types of matchups is where he's had his best games. I mean, he likes a challenge. He likes to be put up against the best one. He likes to be told, this is a really tough matchup, and he's got that way of, kind of saying, all right, well, let's see. Trevarius Ward's a really talented corner. Diamador Lenore is going to get paid in this offseason, if not before. He's one of the best nickels. He can play outside. He's a really good threat on that defense as well. It'll be fascinating to see kind of how they decide to match up. We'll see about Jordan Addison. I don't know if he's going to go or not. His ankle's sore. He hasn't been practicing. Keep an eye on that one here. But also defensively, Brian Flores is very creative. And sometimes you get burned when you're trying something different and you're throwing something different at him. Other times you're able to kind of keep them off balance. Kyle Shanahan's as good as anybody in the league at getting people open. So the challenge for Flores this week is going to be, how do you muddle that picture? How do you do enough stuff that Kyle Shanahan, the things that he schemed up through the course of the week, he might have to adjust within the game. I know this, 1-0 feels a whole lot different than 0-1 in terms of the vibe that you're going to get in US Bank Stadium. Come Sunday, the building will be rocking. You talk to anybody, any coach on another team, they'll tell you it's one of the louder, one of the tougher places to play in the NFL. Get off to a good start. Don't fumble on the opening possession, which has been a problem for like 2 years here. Just get some vibes going. I think it's going to be a really good game on Sunday.
Appreciate it, dude. See you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
I'll be ready. Let's do it. Thanks, Bell Bank.
I'll send you a text to remind you tonight. There he goes. Hey, real quick, this football season, Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay it forward to a charity of their choice. You can nominate the charity of your choice right on KFAN.com. Just put in the Bell Bank there. You can nominate the charity of your choice, and each week at 7:40, we're going to tell you whose charity was picked, and they'll get $1,000. Again, this week it's Care Clinic of Red Wing, thanks to our friend Megan Goodwin. That link is at KFAN.com. Thank you, Bell Bank.
Pretty cool. We'll come back. We'll do Fan 5, a KOC press conference in about 25 minutes. Lieber for another 40 or so. Is Parker coming today? I haven't seen him yet. Normally he's here by now. Okay, normally he's here by now. When we come back, though, lesson learned, Benjamin Lieber. Not necessarily you, but this is a good PSA for everybody. If you're not super familiar with social media, if you're not sure how everything works, be very careful and make sure your phone's off. We'll explain why after this Power Trip Morning Show on The Fan.
Fan.